It's not just talk. It's real people, real stories, and real success. Brought to you by Community Southern Bank with your host, Laura Townsend, and the coach, Jim Jones.
Good afternoon. It's not just talk. It's real people, real stories, and real success. I'm Laura.
Hey, and I'm the coach, Jim Jones.
Thanks for driving home with us today. Our goal, as always, here on Real Success is to inform you, inspire you, and motivate you to find your own personal and professional success. We're presented 52 weeks out of the year by Community Southern Bank.
Yeah, you know, partner, Community Southern Bank brings a new direction of banking to our community. It's banking the old-fashioned way. They're not one of those big national banks where you can't speak to a real person and you walk in and nobody knows your name. They're headquartered right here in our community, and they're founded by people from right here in our community, and they want to invest in you, your business, your family, and your community. Visit them or one of their branches at communitysouthernbank.com. They're located in Lakeland, Bartow, and Winter Haven. Community Southern Bank, a new direction in banking. They're a member of the FDIC.
We are focused this month on absolutely helping you become the most successful individual at home, at work, at play, and to those that you mentor. Maybe it's kids in your neighborhood. Maybe it's your own kids in your household. Maybe you have a job that's very influential with others. And our goal this month is to help you be the most successful that you possibly can. Today, we're finding our inner passion to find our success. And, Coach, you have found an amazing guest to lead the way.
I traveled a long way across the big pond. Actually, joining us today is one of the UK's top career and counseling coaches. She has an amazing background in the corporate world. She worked at Unilever and Goldman Sachs and HBSC. She's a finance girl, just like you are, partner. But after a successful career in the financial services world, she has decided to use the wealth of her experience in doing career coaching and counseling, and she has developed a model that we're going to talk about today that will really help you find your inner passion and lead you to real success. Joining us from London, England, is Mara Shaw. Mara, welcome to Real Success.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. I'm really excited to be on your show, especially across the pond, as you say.
That's a big
Yeah,
pond.
you know, I think we've been on the air, Mara, for 4 years. I think you today have actually won the most distanced guest Laura and I have ever had on Real Success. So congratulations.
Hey, I'm really privileged to be the first one. As they say, the pond's getting smaller and smaller, I think.
Our world is getting smaller. And just so we'll know for our listeners, everyone's driving home in rush hour here in Central Florida. And what time is it there in London?
It's 10 p.m.
10 p.m. So you were right, Laura. She's 5 hours ahead of us. Okay, well, we'll get on with the interview so you can get to bed. Hey, tell us, we seem to be living in an unprecedented time where people are really seeking change in their lives and their careers, aren't we?
Yeah, and I see it more and more now. I think there's a lot of things that have caused people to do that. Obviously, the recession means that whereas before jobs were kind of the safe and secure option, the recession has broken down that myth. So actually jobs are no longer seen as secure and safe. And in fact, personal ventures, entrepreneurial ventures are sometimes seen as more secure. There's a lot of spirituality about, so there's a lot of big hype about being happy rather than just chasing money. And, you know, with all the financial breakdowns, we've seen that chasing money doesn't always bring happiness. So there's a lot of awareness about your inner self and being happy. And, you know, jobs are no longer safe like they used to be. So all the structures we've had and known for a long, long time are all breaking down. The other big thing I really get from people, they come over and they're really at crossroads about they want to change what they've been doing. So, you know, I think you mentioned, Laura, you've done the same thing. You used to be in finance and the corporate environment.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I guess you kind of understand. And I get more and more people, and especially once people hit kind of whatever the midlife crisis word is, I think it hits a lot earlier these days. But I get a lot of people at crossroads saying, look, I want to be happy. I've done this job for a while, but I don't want to retire doing this job. I want to change my options while I'm still young. I want to be, happy. The term is now financial independence rather than financial security as well. So lots and lots of factors And people are more aware, and, coaching, new age, all that kind of stuff is so much more accessible. So people just want to be happy. So all the old structures are completely breaking down. You're absolutely right.
Now, Mara, I think what I'm going to find in this show, and I think what's already hit me, is that this sounds like a global feeling as far as people. It's not just an isolated moments of how people are feeling just here in the state of Florida in America, but people are people all over the world. I mean, you're in London and you're talking about people with feelings and experiences that we are feeling right here in America.
We hear the same thing from some of our friends and associates that we're hearing from someone in London.
Absolutely. So, Mara, this message is for all people, regardless of where we physically are located.
Absolutely. And I think with the world being so small now, with the global communications, with all, the social media, with the internet, with Skype, everybody's now seeing the same things in the same countries. It's the same experiences everybody has, as you say. Absolutely spot on. It's the same globally now, and the message is spread in an instant.
Hey, we got a couple minutes before we go out to our first break. You had mentioned that you worked for Goldman Sachs, Unilever, a couple of big corporations, and now you've moved into coaching and mentoring others. Why did you make that change?
I made that change because I wanted to work for myself. So I wanted that financial freedom. Lots of reasons. The one is I wanted financial freedom, and I wanted to work for myself. I used to hate getting appraised by a boss who I didn't even think was very good himself. And then I hated that he would tell me, you need to improve on this, and this. I'm like, I know what I need to improve on. I don't need somebody else to tell me what I need to improve on. We all know what we need to improve on. I'm like, I'll improve on what I want to improve on. So I used to hate all of that kind of stuff that went with working in the corporate environment. But what I also hated was that I couldn't be myself. Corporate environments are quite stifling. You have to behave a certain way. You have to use the right language. You have to dress a certain way. And if you're a bit of a free spirit like me, it can be quite difficult.
You may be related to my co-host.
I'm feeling exactly. I know, and you said in the beginning, you're like, we may have changed our careers because of a midlife crisis. What you just said is the reason that I gave up my career, being micromanaged and being evaluated by people that you knew weren't doing what they were supposed to do. It felt like such a moment of hypocrisy.
Absolutely. So you get exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to be myself. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be good at what I want to do, but I wanted to do it in my own terms, not somebody else's terms. And then, of course, I had a big passion for personal development all my life. So I just combined the two very nicely, the two experiences into career coaching, and it just, merged together really well.
Well, Mara, we're going to go ahead and have to take a quick break, but before we head out, I know that you're calling from London, and this is an international call. Do you mind hanging out with us for a little while?
No, I'm here for you with the whole hour.
Yeah, good. We're glad to have you. Hey, you can learn more about Mara. You can find her on Facebook. You can go to her website. Her name is spelled MEERA. MaraCareerCoaching.com is her website. Check her out.
Well, we'll be right back with more of Real Success with UK's #1 top career coach calling in from London, England. Stay tuned. There is more for you coming up. We'll be right back with more Real Success. Welcome back to the second quarter of Real Success. I'm Laura.
And I'm the coach, Jim Jones.
Thanks for driving home with us this afternoon, presented each week by Community Southern Bank. Headed into our second quarter, we're sponsored by Headley Insurance.
With over 90 years of experience and generations of service to Central Florida, Headley Insurance can help you navigate the confusing world of insurance. Partner, there's home, there's auto, there's life, health, business. We've got sinkhole insurance. We've got hurricane insurance.
And
here
I
in
found
Florida.
out today there's supplemental animal insurance. If you have dogs and your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover it, you can buy that on the side.
Yeah, thank you, Scott Headley, for helping Laura with that. You know what? And the thing is, they work for you, not your insurance, not the insurance agency. which means they're going to find the right company and the right policy for you to protect the things that are important in your life. Visit Headley Insurance on their Facebook page to see some of the great things that they post there about security and home security, ideas that will make your life safer. And you can visit them at headleyinsurance.net to get a free quote today.
We are enjoying our afternoon with Mara Shaw. She is calling in from London, England. She is the UK's #1 top career coach. If you missed the first quarter, you missed a lot already. You can always go to WLKF.com to hear the entirety of this show in our archive section. Just look for Real Success. What we've already learned so far is it really doesn't matter where you are, where you live in this great big world of ours. People are feeling the same. They're feeling the same apprehension of being in corporate America or being in a job that you're just not your best with. Headed into our second quarter, we're going to learn from Mara about a new coaching model that will change our life and the successes that we reach, Coach.
Yeah, and Mara, I'll just have to say, I've had the opportunity to watch your video on your website. So I'm at a little bit of an advantage with our listeners and Laura here today because I've already learned a little bit about the RID system, and partner, that stands RID, stands for Reflect, Imagine, and Do. And you're going to learn some things, I think, that are just really, life-changing because I love her approach to that. Mara, tell us a little bit about your process that you've coined, the RID process.
Okay, yeah, thanks for seeing my video, first of all, a sneak preview, so I'm really excited you've done that. My RID models really come about by working with, lots of clients. And the one thing I realized when I was working with clients is the first step of my RID model is the most important, which is all about your inner state. So RID, R stands for reflect. The second step, I stands for imagine. And the third step, D, stands for do. So the first step, reflect, is all about your inner state. And it's about how confident you feel, how good you feel, what kind of self-belief do you have. And it's only when that state is right, I move on to step 2, which is the imagine. And the imagine is all around the goal-setting piece. And, when you're feeling good and you're feeling strong, you dream bigger, your goals will be that much bigger. And you can think about it yourself. I mean, when you go to the gym, for example, on the day you're feeling good, you'll have such a good workout. And on the day you're feeling shit, you'll have a shit workout. So I always think it's important to set goals when you're feeling good. Otherwise, the goals would be so limiting, there's almost no point setting them. And then the third step is the do.
Hey, Mara, let me pause you real quick, Mara. We have to watch our vocabulary in the United States on radio. The word that you just used,
let's say bad workout.
We can't say that word.
Sorry.
We just got in trouble.
Yeah, well, welcome to the USA.
All right, go ahead.
Our producer, Daniel, is on the floor now. Wake up, Daniel.
We all just fell out of our chair. It's all right. We get that. There's a language barrier here, and we'll get some grace for that. But go ahead and proceed with your do.
Sorry, I'm glad I'll watch that. Okay, moving on. The third step is all about the do, which is taking the action. So you've worked out your inner state is good, you're feeling great, you're feeling confident. You've set these really great goals that you then want to go and achieve that get you feel really excited to jump out of bed to go and achieve those goals. And then the third step is then let's go and do the actions. And when you're doing the actions, you no longer need to think about your confidence. You no longer need to think about your goals. Those two are covered in steps 1 and 2.
Excellent. All right, now tell me, what is the difference about your model versus other career models that are out there and being taught today? What's the difference?
So the biggest difference really is the first step, and I really focus on the inner state. It's about how you feel inside. So a lot of the career models straight launch into some questionnaires, and they ask you what you like to do, and they might ask you what your personality type is, and they do a match and say these are the kind of jobs you'd be good at and things like that. But they don't really talk about how you're feeling. And when your inner state is not right, it's just impossible to think beyond what you're doing. So this model really focuses a lot about that inner state. And I think it's your listeners will probably all be familiar with Anthony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Robbins talks about a transition state, and it really is getting that transition state right before you do anything.
All right, now you talk about how you feel inside. Isn't that kind of different from how corporate America is? At least here in America, corporate America tells you to just suck it up and put your feelings in a bag and leave them at the door and don't bring them to work with you. And you're saying that your model, your career model, really focuses on emotion. We kind of feel like we shouldn't have feelings when we're at work. What do you think about that?
Well, I guess it's two different things. It's different to say you can put your personal life aside for while you're at work. So, everybody has things going on, and you might say, okay, you might be having some personal issues, and you could say, well, park them aside for the moment you're in work. But at the end of the day, we're human and we have feelings. I mean, we don't have buttons to switch off our emotions. And when you're not feeling good, how can you deliver a good piece of work? I don't get how you can just switch off from your emotions.
Yeah, well,
you are your emotions.
Right, and I think that is why I've been so intrigued since I first met you and learned about you and have researched you, is because, here we are so goal-oriented, and I'm sure probably in the UK, people are as well. We always tend to focus on the goal first, right? Be a goal setter, have the can-do attitude. But what you're really saying is when you're a wreck on the inside, the worst thing you could do would be to make plans and goals until everything is in equilibrium in your inner self.
Absolutely, because you want your goals to be something that will make you happy and come from a real internal place of fulfillment and awareness. Whereas if you just set financial goals, it just means but if there's no emotion attached to your goals, you're not going to be excited to jump out of bed every morning to go and get your goal. You're not going to even. Part of the problem is also you need to believe you can achieve, say your goal is to randomly, earn $10 million or be the best coach in the world. Unless you really believe it, it's just not going to happen. So I really think you need to connect that emotion and that self-belief deep down inside. And when you feel good, you can do anything.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about... We're going to talk about that a little later in the show, but that brings up kind of a question that's been burning in my head is, of the three parts of your model, the reflect, the imagine, and the do, which one is typically the hardest for us to accomplish and why?
I would say it's imagine in my experience, because when people generally come to me for coaching, they kind of know they've had some knockbacks or setbacks, so they want to change something. So they're in a vulnerable place and they're really happy to change their confidence and their self-belief. They're happy to do that work. The problem I find is with the goal setting, which is the imagine, because people always undervalue themselves. So knowing your own worth and your own value and getting you to dream big enough but that's realistic. I find people don't generally dream big enough or they don't value themselves highly enough. And that for me is the biggest challenge push people into.
All right, Mara, we're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, we want to talk to you about helping us find that perfect career choice. So you're going to hang around for a little while?
I will.
All right, excellent. Hey, thank you, Scott Headley and the team over at Headley Insurance for sponsoring that second quarter. We'll be right back with more Real Success. Welcome back to the third quarter of Real Success. I'm Laura.
And I'm the coach, Jim Jones.
Thanks for spending your Tuesday afternoon with us, presented each week by Community Southern Bank. Headed into our third quarter, we're sponsored by John Locke Painting.
Partner John Locke Painting, they are the #1 repaint specialist in all of Central Florida, and they are the first choice for residential, industrial, and commercial painting. With over 25 years of experience, John and his team will work with you and your schedule. They offer expert color advice, and they have affordable rates. They even offer pressure washing, which is sometimes even better than a new coat of paint, right?
Absolutely.
Yep, and you can visit them online at John Locke, that's L-O-C-K-E, johnlockepainting.com to see some of the amazing examples of their work. Call them for a free quote today at 647-7000. John Locke Painting, simply the best.
We're spending our afternoon today talking to Mara Shaw. She is the #1 top career coach from the UK, joining us all the way from London, England this afternoon. I want to send you to her website. This is amazing, impactful, and interactive. You will get a lot from this. It's miracareercoaching.com. That's MEERA. careercoaching.com. Check her out. You can find out what you've learned here today on our show, and you can do a little bit more there because you'll be able to put it into practice in your own life.
And I've already found out she's an expert in Skype. So if there were some of our listeners here in Florida that wanted to work with her or have some questions with her, many of her clients are worldwide, and just because you're across that big pond doesn't mean you can't work together and talk together, just as we're proving today. Right?
Absolutely. Hey, we're moving into an area, Coach, where some people say, really, positive affirmations, isn't that just mumbo-jumbo that you brainwash yourself? Mira, what's your thoughts on positive affirmations and how it alters our transitional state?
Affirmations are one of the things I absolutely believe in. I absolutely use, and I've used them personally, and I've had lots and lots of clients who I've worked with who've used them, and they really work. And if we take a minute just to think about how affirmations came about, they came about really by athletes. So they started when athletes say they wanted to win a race. As part of the athlete's training, they will always imagine winning that race, and they will keep saying to themselves something like, that gold medal is mine, that gold medal is mine, or I've broken the world record, I've broken the world record. And it's a little bit of NLP. So when you keep saying that to yourself and repeating it to yourself, your subconscious mind begins to actually understand and appreciate and accept that statement. And so your whole body then starts to accept that statement. It started with athletes, and now people have used affirmations to heal themselves. There's a lady called Louise Hay who said she used it to cure cancer. It really just helps you to, shift your state. And also it's an NLP tool, so it's an anchor in the day. So whenever you're feeling a bit low and you say your affirmation, that should switch your state as an anchor as well.
Now, Mara, in watching your video, one of the things that I've learned from you is, and there's some school of thought, and I've seen affirmations published where, you're supposed to put them in your, on your desk or tape them to your refrigerator, and there's maybe 50 or 100 affirmations you're supposed to say every day. But you're kind of the school of thought that you don't need a lot of affirmations. You just need a few effective affirmations, but you need to say them many, many times throughout the day, right?
Absolutely. So I was going to say, affirmations are meant to be really short, sharp statements that can just switch your mind. So it could be things like, I love myself, I accept myself, I'm a winner, I can do it, It's in the present, it uses the word I. But, sorry, let me ask you, how many times a day do you think we should repeat an affirmation? But, Jim, you're not allowed to answer because you've seen my video.
Well, I would have to say it's quite a lot, Mira, because if I had to count how many times I said something negative about myself in the day, that in itself is quite a bit. So I'm sure you'd have to say something positive, even more so to, undo the damage you've done.
Absolutely. And that's what I say to people. When you're annoyed with something, think about how much energy you put into that during the day. It's, probably half your day or all the time. So I would say you should repeat your affirmations at least 200 times a day.
Wow.
200 times a day.
I know, people always get surprised. But if your affirmations are short, sharp statements, I can do it, I'm a winner, how long does it take? It takes 3 seconds. 3 seconds times 200. We're talking about 5-10 minutes in the day. It's not a whole lot of time. But what it is you say it the last thing before you go to bed, the first thing when you wake up. It's almost like a nag. So your subconscious mind and your mind go, okay, I get it. We're going to do this. We can do it.
Well, and they say this shouldn't be a problem for a female because, men always rattle that women say 175 more words a minute than a man does. So we women ought to knock this out of the ballpark.
Is that what they say?
That's what they say. At least the guys here in Florida do.
Hey, Mara,
there you go.
when it comes to career, and spend some time on your website, you've also developed a program called the 4 Fastest Ways to Advance Your Career. And I know our listeners, if they visit your website, they can learn more about that. But can you just give us a little glimpse and a peek into that?
Yeah, sure. So the 4 fastest ways is obviously I've worked with clients and I've got my own corporate experience, but it's really using my RID model. And the 4 fastest ways, if people sign up to my newsletter and they can sign up on my website, each of the tips takes you through each of those stages in the RID model, but it gives you lots of actually actions and lots of tips. So, now I've just said one example of how to increase your confidence is affirmations. So it will give you lots and lots of different actions and quick wins that you can go and practice yourself. And these are really good because they've been tried and tested on clients over a long period of time. And stuff that I've personally used and tested as well.
Well, in today's economy, Mara, is it reasonable to think that we can continue to advance, to earn more, to really find our dream job?
Yes, and that's why it nicely links into my 4 tips. I talk about this in my 4 tips. And what I say is that, yes, obviously there's a recession and times are hard, but it means there are fewer jobs. There are still people getting paid a lot. People are getting paid their worth, and the best is still getting paid a lot, if not more. So people are still getting paid what they get paid, which is their worth and their value. But you really need to be the best. You can't afford to be mediocre and get paid in these times because it's really competitive right now. So if you're mediocre, someone else will be better than you and, you won't get paid. But I think it's really important, even despite the economic conditions, to know your true worth, to know your true value, and to really believe you're really good at what you do. And therefore, don't limit your thinking just because of the recession. It should even spur you on even more to go, right, I'm really good. I'm going to fight even harder to make sure I get this. And you've got to really shine in these times. And one thing I love, and I stole this from Paul McKenna, so I'll give him credit, is he always says, you are the product when you sell yourself. And if you don't believe in the product, why do you think somebody else would believe in the product? So it's really important that you really believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, everybody else will believe in you. It just follows.
And Mara, is that some of what you do in your coaching? Obviously, you work with clients to not only encourage and substantiate who they are and what they're trying to do, but you also work with them to kind of help them find their path to success?
Yeah, I help them find their path to success, and the big thing is really about making sure they know their value and their worth, and that, they're going for it. But second of all is then to make sure the behavior and the self-belief matches that value and the worth, and that they really shine. And I bring in sometimes what I call spirit, but you can call it personality. But you really need to let your personality and your spirit and your uniqueness shine, because people have something to offer and other people engage and love that part of you.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Now, a lot of us, we kind of think if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. And if we need help, sometimes it's hard here to just keep asking the same people for help because, we're all in the same environment here. It sounds like you have a new, interesting, fun twist on how to attack some of these weak areas in our life. So if we wanted to work with you, even though you're in London, how could you help us here in Florida?
So obviously now with technology, it's really easy. So Skype is the best way to do coaching globally. I can use the phone or I can use Skype. And most clients globally now do coaching on Skype, because what it means is you can be sat in your bedroom, in your pajamas, with a cup of tea, and you could be, you can really just be true to yourself in the coaching session. Whereas if you meet face-to-face, quite often you're really busy watching the other person and trying to interact with them. Whereas this way you can really just go into yourself and be comfortable. So I can use Skype. I've got workshops. I've got newsletters. I'm planning to do some teleseminars, which obviously global dial-in. So lots of different ways. But on the one-to-one coaching, it's really Skype is the best way.
Love it. That's
But
easy to do.
Yeah, and if people sign up to my newsletter, they'll get the free tips. If they do like the free tips, I do regular newsletters with regular tips and updates, especially with what's happening in the industry and what's current. That's a good way to stay in touch as well.
Okay. Well, Mira, if you'll hang out with us when we come back, it's time for our Successful Minute, and we want that last bit of advice from you to help us move forward. So don't go anywhere.
Yep. Thank you, John Locke Painting, for sponsoring the third quarter of Real Success.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the final quarter of Real Success. I'm Laura.
And I'm the coach, Jim Jones.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We are presented each week by Community Southern Bank, but we're sponsored in our fourth quarter by Stewart Auto Repair.
Yeah, at Stewart Auto Repair, they have ASE and ICAR trained technicians, and they're more than just a body shop. Whether you need tires, a tune-up, repairs, or that body work, Stewart Auto Repair will work with you, your insurance company, and your car to make it the best experience you've ever had. Visit their state-of-the-art collision center and their automotive repair center in Winter Haven. They're located on 42nd Street Northwest. You can also visit them online at stewartautorepair.com. Stewart Auto Repair, a commitment so strong, they put their name on it.
We spent our afternoon today with Mara Shaw. She is the UK's #1 top career coach. We do realize that she has quite an accent. We've got some emails already coming in going, what did she say? Well, I tell you what, I have some great news for you. You can go to WLKF.com, pull up the archive where you can actually listen to the show again. If there's a few words that got you stumbled or tripped up, that's okay. Just listen to the show and start all over.
Not me. I think her British accent is sexy.
Of course you would, Coach. Actually, I do too. You know, we always want something we don't have. If our hair's straight, we want it curly.
Mara, and by the way, everyone, I encourage you to visit her. She has a Facebook, and you can also go to her website, Mara, M-E-E-R-A, MaraCareerCoaching.com. You can also just Google her at Mara Shaw, S-H-A-H. And we appreciate having you with us today. You know, I want to kind of get one final thought from you. As we talked about in the first quarter, the open of the show, Mara, you know, there does seem to be a lot of unhappy, dissatisfied, lost people in today's world. I've never met in the last few years many people who have changed jobs, lost jobs, floundered in jobs, lost their businesses. What would you say to those people who are looking to improve their business, improve their career, improve their life?
I will answer that in 1 second, but I want to just comment on what you just said. So, you know, you said you like the British accent. I think the American accent is absolutely great. As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, wow, I love the way these guys speak.
Well, thank you so much. We've never heard that before.
No, never.
It's really nice. I really like it. And I wanted to just say to your listeners, sorry if, you know, maybe some of the phrases I use can be English. The other day, I used the word CV on an American show, and someone said, what's a CV? And I was like, sorry, I mean resume. So if someone wants some clarification on what I said, if they email me through my website, I'd be happy to clarify or, you know, answer any questions, so they can do that.
Well, yeah, and by the way, when we sit in bed in our pajamas, we drink coffee, not tea, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's the other one.
No, really, I mean,
we should do a show on the differences. That would be quite fun.
That would be quite fun. We're all, you know, we're cousins after all, you know.
So there's a film called A Holiday. You should see that if you haven't seen it. It shows some of the differences. It's an American and an English. Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet, and they swap homes for the holiday in the U.S. and London, and it's brilliant. It just shows the difference.
All right, Mira, what is your one final tidbit, word, piece of advice to help us move forward and find our own personal and professional success?
Sure. So I would say, you know, on top of everything I've said, one thing that always helps me is really to hang around people who inspire you and who are doing better than you. Because their energy will be different, their way of thinking will be different, and they will really, really inspire you. Make sure they're more successful in any way, how that, you know, you like something about them. You can use them as mentors. and you can just pick their brain, their positive energy, their big goal setting, their unlimited thinking. Really, the company you choose is so cliched, but it's cliched for a reason. It really helps to hang around people who are ahead and pick you up to where you want to get to. That would be my quick top tip.
And you know what? That's great advice. My partner calls it all the time, you are your environment, and how true that is.
Yeah, and I know it's cliched, but really we keep forgetting that. It makes such a difference.
Well, Mara, thank you so much. I know it's almost 11 p.m. in London, and it's probably close to your bedtime. So Laura and I, on behalf of all of our listeners here in Florida, it was wonderful to meet you. We look forward to talking to you again, and thank you so much for joining us.
We appreciate you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I say thank you for having me on the show. I really enjoyed being on your show. It's been fun.
Well, we'll have to do it again because we might need you more than one time to fix us.
Yeah, we'll talk about something different next time. I'll tell you what we said something next.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Good night, Mara.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, it's time for our Successful Minute, and this is where we do a quick recap of today's show, pulling out the most impactful moments.
Yeah, it's brought to you by our friends at McInerney Roofing. You know, honesty, integrity, hard work, and serving others. Those are some of the things that Laura and I have learned about real success, and they're the same things that you'll get when you work with the folks at McInerney Roofing. Whether you need new construction, just a repair, or just a simple leaky roof, they will work with you to solve all of your roofing needs. McInerneyRoofing.com, innovative roofing solutions since 1981.
Well, Coach, I started taking notes right out of the first quarter. I think one of the most interesting moments was maybe just a complete understanding that there are no boundaries. You know, sometimes we feel so overwhelmed by our surroundings here, and we think of ourselves as in Polk County, Florida, but then Polk County expands to Central Florida, and then Central Florida expands to the entire state, and then America. And then when we hear today that people in London are seeking the same, what is the word? Just quality of life.
Yeah, or even outcomes, even the same outcomes that we look for here.
I mean, it's so similar.
This really is a small world, you know that?
And you know what? We don't see the true opportunity that we have for ourselves. I enjoyed the fact that corporate America basically is a pain in the rear end in London like it is here in the States.
Well, we call it corporate America. They probably call it corporate UK. Yeah, I mean, it sounded like it's very similar, right?
Yeah, it really did. And you know what she did? She gave herself permission to say, hey, I'm a free spirit. This is who I am. I like who I am, and this is who I'm going to be. And yet, so many times we allow the corporate world to conform and make us into who they want us to be instead of being who we want to be. Now, keep in mind, and let me do a quick asterisk there, you know, being moral, telling the truth, doing what you say you're going to do, all the foundations of a successful character is critical. So I'm not just saying that you can be whoever and do whatever, as long as you're, you know, focused on the right way and the good way to live and treat others. I think that's a great focus. Coach, how about you?
You know, it came right at the end, and we've heard it before, and I've even heard it from you, partner, in the many years that we've known and worked each other. Surround yourself with the right kind of people. You call it you are your environment. My good friend Mike McInerney calls it iron sharpens iron, as they say in the scripture.
Right.
You know, we need to be around the people that we aspire to be. And if you're around people that aren't bringing value to your life, to your career, to your business, it's kind of like, you know, you can move in the other direction. I thought that was great advice from her. And as you noticed out, the thing that impressed me about her was just her, I guess just the courage that when she said, you know what, corporate America is not working for me, and that's not who I am, and I need to find something else. I know that's easier said than done for most of us, but you know what? You have to be true to yourself.
That's right. Hey, and you know what? There's some truth. Make sure that you surround yourself with positive people, but be careful. If you're bringing some, rotten garbage to the table, they're not going to let you hang around long. So thanks, Community Southern Bank and Headley Insurance.
John Locke Painting, Stewart Auto Repair.
McInerney Roofing for being our sponsors. We appreciate you.
Yeah, hey, send us an email at talk@realsuccessradio.com. You can check out our Facebook or our website, www.realsuccessradio.com.
It's not just talk. It's real people, real stories, and real success.
Until next week, partner.
Keep it real.
Keep it real.